They hung my mother on a tree at dawn, when the sky was still undecided about becoming day. The rope cut into the bark like a wound that would never heal, and my scream arrived too late to stop the knot. I was small enough that my fists shook when I raised them, big enough to understand that begging was the only weapon left to me. And so I ran, barefoot, breathless, toward the men everyone warned me never to look at, let alone approach. Toward the engines that sounded like thunder and the eyes that carried storms. Toward the Hell's Angels. Stay with me, because what happened next saved more than one life, and changed an entire town that believed it was beyond saving. Our town sat at the edge of a highway, forgotten by maps and mercy alike. People survived here the way we'd survive cracks, quietly, stubbornly, with no expectation of rain. My mother, Asha, was the kind of woman who stitched kindness into everything she touched. She cleaned houses, fed stray dogs, and spoke to me as if my opinions mattered even when I was too young to pronounce them properly. After my father died in a factory accident, she became my whole world. We lived behind the old bus stop in a room that smelled of soap and hope. Every night she promised me tomorrow would be better, and every morning she proved it by standing up again. The trouble came wearing badges of borrowed authority. A group of men controlled the land near the highway, illegal tolls, stolen fuel, quiet threats. They called themselves protectors. Everyone else called them wolves. When my mother refused to pay what she didn't have, they came for her dignity first. Then for her fear. Finally, for her life. They accused her of theft she never committed and decided an example would be useful. The tree they chose stood in the open field where children once flew kites. I remember the way the rope swayed like it was nervous, too. I ran because standing still felt like dying twice. Past the rusted sign, past the broken fence, toward the gas station where engines gathered like iron beasts at rest. The bikers were there, 99 of them, people whispered, as if numbers could turn men into myths. They wore leather and scars in a silence that scared grown-ups into obedience. I had been told never to cross their path. I crossed it anyway. I fell at their feet, knees burning on gravel. Words poured out of me in a river I couldn't dam. Please, I said, because I didn't know any stronger magic. They hung my mom. Please save her. My voice cracked like glass under a tire. For a moment, nothing moved except the heat above the road. Then a man stepped forward. His beard was silvered with dust, his eyes old enough to have buried wars. They called him Cain. Cain didn't touch me at first. He knelt so his eyes were level with mine, as if height could be surrendered like a weapon. Where? He asked, and his voice was steady the way mountains are steady. When engines roar, the world listens. 99 bikes thundered to life, and the highway finally remembered us. The ride back felt like flying inside a storm. I clung to Cain's jacket, smelled oil and leather and something else, resolve, maybe. When we reached the field, the wolves laughed. They stopped laughing when the bikes formed a circle around the tree, metal haloing mercy. Cain spoke once. Cut her down. No shouting, no speech, the kind of order that assumes obedience because it has earned it. A knife flashed. The rope fell. My mother collapsed into arms that held her like she belonged to the earth. I pressed my face into her chest and counted heartbeats until mine learned the rhythm again. The wolves tried to run. They discovered roads can close when enough engines decide they should. The bikers didn't kill them. That surprised everyone. They disarmed them, tied them, and called the kind of attention that authorities can't ignore. Cameras came. Questions came. Truth, slow and stubborn, came too. After that day, the town breathed differently. The Hell's Angels didn't stay, not all of them. But Cain did, for a while. He taught the boys how to fix engines and the girls how to say no without apology. My mother healed, though the scar on her neck stayed like a punctuation mark, proof that sentences can continue after terrible pauses. I grew taller. I learned that angels don't always look the way we expect, and that hell sometimes wears a uniform. Years later, when the tree was cut down to make a playground, I watched children run where fear once stood guard. I tell this story because it's easy to believe power only breaks things. Sometimes it kneels. Sometimes it listens to a little girl on a gravel road and decides the world is worth changing. If you've ever felt small, remember this: the bravest thing you can do is ask for help, and the strongest thing others can do is answer. True strength is not shown by cruelty or fear, but by compassion, courage, and the willingness to stand up for the powerless. Never underestimate the power of a sincere plea or a brave heart. Sometimes, Even the most feared people can become protectors when they choose humanity over violence.